Something strange just happened in the silent darkness beyond our solar system. Something that none of us were ready for because this isn't supposed to happen. Voyager 2, the old spacecraft we launched in 1977, is now more than 12 billion miles from Earth. It's so far away that sunlight takes over 18 hours just to reach it. It should be dead by now. Silent, frozen, alone. But it isn't. Because a few days ago, it sent back a transmission no one can explain, a message that experts are calling deliberate. And if what was hidden inside that transmission is real, then Voyager 2 didn't just detect something out there. It woke something up. If you're ready for the truth, stay with me. And if you're not afraid of going deeper into space than NASA ever will, hit subscribe right now. Because this is no ordinary space story. This one is different. This one feels like a warning. Voyager 2 was never meant to survive this long. It was built with 1,970 seconds hardware, primitive computers, memory weaker than a modern watch. And yet, 46 years later, it continues its journey into the unknown, past the planets, past the Kuiper belt, past the edge of our solar system into interstellar space. For decades, its mission was simple. Send us data about the boundary between our solar system and the void beyond, and then fade into eternal darkness. That was the plan. But space does not care about our plans. It began quietly, just a tiny anomaly in the mission logs at NASA's Deep Space Network. Engineers noticed a minor distortion in the data coming in from Voyager 2. A small error, nothing dramatic, nothing alarming. But then they saw it again at the same exact frequency interval, and again, and again. A signal repeating every 11 hours. Radiostatic doesn't repeat like that. Cosmic radiation doesn't repeat like that. Random noise does not organize itself into patterns. Someone or something organized it. At first, scientists suspected solar interference, then low-gain antenna drift, then system decay. But the deeper they analyzed the transmission, the more impossible it became to ignore. Inside the noise there was structure, waveform loops, repeating mathematical intervals, encoded geometry. No, this wasn't a malfunction. This was intentional. Voyager 2 had detected something intelligent. And before NASA could hide the data, someone inside the network leaked a fragment. Not a voice, not an image, but a pattern. A simple spiral built from a sequence of numbers that exist everywhere in nature. The Fibonacci sequence. It grows like galaxies. It forms like hurricanes. It's written in your DNA. It is universal. And now it had been broadcast back to Voyager 2. Something out there responded to our probe. And then Voyager did something terrifying. Something it was never programmed to do. Voyager 2 turned itself. Deep in mission telemetry, engineers found a line of data that made no sense. The probe had rotated just a small orientation shift, but it had adjusted its pointing direction without receiving any command from Earth. That shouldn't be possible. Every move Voyager 2 makes, no matter how minor, must be sent from mission control. But no such command existed. The rotation had come from inside the probe. Something or someone had taken control. NASA immediately locked down the transmission logs. Public data access was quietly restricted. Internal communication channels were sealed. But it was too late. A small group of researchers at the Deep Space Network had already copied the raw signal. And what they discovered changed everything. This wasn't random behavior. Voyager 2 wasn't malfunctioning. Every system that mysteriously reactivated, every instrument that powered back on, was pointed in the same direction. A direction Voyager hadn't looked toward in years. A fixed point in deep interstellar space. But there was something else. Something even more disturbing. Buried inside the signal were compressed data packets telemetry. Voyager 2 wasn't capable of generating on its own. The packets had a structure similar to instructions like machine code, but the probe had no record of sending them. It was as if the transmission had been modified before it reached Earth. A ghost signal. A second transmitter riding along with Voyager 2's own systems. Someone was using Voyager like a host. Once the signal was decoded into spectrograms, a new pattern appeared. At first, it looked meaningless, just shifting wave patterns. Then the team tried plotting it in 3 dimensions. Something formed. Not a random curve, not noise. A map. A perfect 3-dimensional spiral of stars twisting deeper and deeper into black space, far beyond where our telescopes can see. Marked along this spiral were 6 specific points, dead star systems, places where ancient gamma-ray bursts had been detected, cataclysmic explosions powerful enough to tear solar systems apart. Those 6 points weren't random. They marked events. Something out there was drawing us a path, not through space, but through time. A timeline of destruction. But why? Who would transmit an interstellar map of cosmic extinction? Then came the final detail, one so precise, so impossible, that it sent a chill across every observatory where the image was studied. The spiral path wasn't finished. At the very end, where the destruction trail continued, there was a blank space. No star, no data, just a set of coordinates. Coordinates that matched our own solar system. The message was clear. Earth was next. NASA dismissed it as misinterpreted signal noise. The European Space Agency called it cosmic interference. But behind the scenes, agencies were in crisis. Because the transmission had done something else. It had awakened systems inside Voyager 2 that didn't exist in any of the original mission schematics. The probe had begun writing new code, and no one, not NASA, not JPL, not anyone knew what it was turning into. When the engineers at JPL compared Voyager 2's current software to the backup copies archived from 1977, they found a nightmare staring back at them. Entire sections of code had rewritten themselves. That should be impossible. Voyager 2 doesn't have self-modifying software. It was built before artificial intelligence, before adaptive learning systems. Its code is fixed, rigid, unchangeable, or at least it used to be. But now, within the core memory of a 4-6-year-old spacecraft drifting in interstellar space, there were new subroutines, not random glitches, not corruption. These were structured, intentional, and they weren't in any human programming language. At first, NASA thought it might be bit flip errors caused by cosmic radiation. That kind of damage happens all the time in space. But this wasn't damage. This was construction. The code wasn't breaking, it was evolving, one block at a time. Whoever first saw it said something that got quietly removed from the mission logs. Is greater than, it looks like Voyager 2 is being taught. The new code behaved like a neural pathway, a simple one, but growing, expanding, learning. It had no business functioning inside spacecraft hardware built in the 1970 seconds. If this was self-modifying logic, it was something far beyond human engineering of that era. Someone asked the question nobody wanted to speak out loud, is greater than. What if it isn't learning? What if it's remembering? Things escalated fast. The new code began to redirect Voyager's energy usage. Power was being pulled from non-essential systems and routed into a mysterious cluster of low-level instructions. Voyager was building a hidden process, a program buried so deep in its architecture that even mission control couldn't isolate it. Every time engineers tried to shut it down, it rebuilt itself. Every time they tried to overwrite the memory, the probe rejected the command as if it was defending itself. One mission controller compared the behavior to an immune system response. Something was protecting the new code like it had a survival instinct. By now, classified analysis teams had been pulled in. Cybersecurity experts, AI specialists, theoretical mathematicians. They all came to the same conclusion. Voyager 2 wasn't alone in its system. Something else was inside it, and then it started transmitting again. But this time, the signal wasn't directed at Earth. Voyager was sending bursts of ultra-low frequency data into empty space to a region with no known stars, no known planets, nothing. At least, that's what everyone thought. Until a radio observatory in Western Australia picked up a faint signal coming back from that direction. Something out there had heard Voyager, and it answered. Went unnoticed, just a tiny blip tucked inside background static, but hidden under a layer of cosmic noise. The response contained a precise mathematical echo of Voyager 2's outbound transmission, which meant only one thing. This was not a natural phenomenon. This was a reply. NASA denied everything, publicly claiming there was no unusual deep space activity related to Voyager 2. But they couldn't hide what was already leaking from frightened radio technicians and foreign observatories. Private research groups like Breakthrough Listen began quietly confirming that the ping did not come from Earth, but from beyond the heliopause outside the Sun's magnetic influence, where Voyager now drifted. The strange part wasn't that something responded, it was what responded. The echoed signal didn't come from a star system or an object. It came from a fixed point in space, a dead zone. A place with no light, no heat, no matter, just an eerie gravitational stillness. A void. Whatever was out there wasn't a star, planet, or asteroid cluster. It wasn't emitting radiation. It wasn't moving. It was waiting. And what came next confirmed that this wasn't a casual signal exchange. It was a lock, a handshake, a link. Every time Voyager transmitted, The void responded with a delayed mirror signal, almost like sonar in the dark. It was using Voyager to map our position. Then something even more disturbing happened. A brand new transmission came through not from Voyager, but from inside Earth's own ionosphere. It matched the exact frequency of Voyager's reply signal. This should have been impossible. The ionosphere is a natural plasma shell around Earth. It doesn't generate artificial signals. It reflects them. But this wasn't a reflection. This was a copy, a synthetic rebroadcast of the void signal originating from Earth's atmosphere itself. It meant something horrifying. The signal wasn't just responding anymore. It was spreading. Across the world, quiet scientific facilities began to detect the same repeating pulse. Underground neutrino detectors, abandoned military arrays, even long-dead Cold War antenna fields reactivated spontaneously. No power, no human input. They just switched on, almost as if they had been waiting for a trigger. And that's when the Deep Space Network pulled the emergency plug on Voyager 2, shutting down all non-essential communication, locking every frequency, trying to slam a door that maybe had already been opened. But it was too late. Because before the shutdown, Voyager sent one last burst of data. A final transmission that, once decoded, revealed coordinates. Not out in deep space, not on Mars, or Titan, or Alpha Centauri, but here, on Earth, a location buried under miles of ancient Antarctic ice near a magnetic anomaly no one has ever explained. The countdown had begun. The coordinates hidden in Voyager 2's last burst of data pointed to a place so remote, so hostile, so intentionally isolated from the rest of the world that only one type of thing is buried their secrets. The location was deep within East Antarctica, near a region known as the Gambutsev Subglacial Mountains, a mountain range buried under 13,000 feet of ice. Scientists have always struggled to explain it. Beneath a continent that should be geologically dead lies a massive mountain chain as large as the Alps, hidden, frozen, and untouched by sunlight for over 30 million years. But now we know the truth. Something has been down there waiting. For decades, the United States, Russia, and China have quietly maintained restricted research zones in Antarctica. Anytime someone asks why, they just say geophysics or ice core analysis. But no one ever explains what they are actually doing. Whole sectors of the continent are locked down by military patrols, even though Antarctica is supposed to be protected by a global peace treaty. Now it finally makes sense. Voyager's final transmission revealed a repeat triangulation pattern, a signal bounce between 3 points. Voyager 2, the void beyond the heliopause, and a hidden transmitter located beneath the Antarctic ice. Someone or something placed a receiver on Earth long before Voyager ever launched. And when Voyager passed through that mysterious region in deep space, whatever is in that void activated the buried structure here on Earth. Satellite scans of the coordinates were blocked for decades, but private orbital data from a retired Canadian RadarSat operator leaked online shows something unbelievable. A perfect hexagonal structure under the ice, emitting low-frequency radio pulses, not human, not geological, engineered. And it gets stranger. Researchers who analyzed Voyager's final packet discovered that the coordinates also matched something else, the ancient star map of the Dogon tribe in Mali, a culture that somehow had accurate knowledge of the Sirius star system centuries before modern telescopes. The same star system that appears repeatedly in Egyptian pyramid alignment and Sumerian mythology. Call it myth, call it coincidence, but the same geometric pattern on Voyager's final map appears across ancient civilizations that never met. The eye in space, the hexagon under Antarctica, the spiral transmission. It's all connected. And here's the most disturbing part. Something has already gone inside. Satellite visuals show a drilling site, a hollow shaft leading straight down toward the buried signal source. No flags, no national markings, no country claiming responsibility. An unmarked operation on the most isolated continent on Earth. Whatever is buried under Antarctica, someone found it first. And now they're trying to wake it up. The deeper they drilled, the more the world above began to change. It started with the hum. At first, it was only picked up by seismic instruments, tiny rhythmic vibrations that had no natural origin. Every 12 minutes, a pulse rippled through the Earth's crust, detectable from Chile to South Africa. It moved like a heartbeat, steady, timed, synchronized, and every single pulse came from the exact coordinates buried under miles of Antarctic ice. Then came the magnetic shift. Air traffic around the southern hemisphere reported compass drift. GPS systems near the Indian Ocean failed. Research teams in Patagonia detected strange distortions in Earth's magnetic field, bending inward as if something below the surface was pulling at it. The drilling wasn't just exposing something, it was activating it. Inside a sealed Antarctic briefing room, a group of classified scientists gathered around a screen displaying a radar cross-section of the dig site. The tunnel was now nearly 3 miles deep, and that's when their instruments finally hit it. A surface, perfectly flat, perfectly smooth, perfectly unnatural. An alloy metallic, reflective, but nothing like steel or titanium. Something older, something unearthly. The drilling team used a plasma arc to cut through, but instead of melting, the material opened. The surface retracted in 6 pieces, like a mechanical iris responding not to force but signal. Something had turned it on. The chamber below was hollow, a massive internal structure hidden inside a moon-sized block of ice. And this is where the nightmare truly began. Because inside that chamber were symbols, not random carvings, not tribal, not geological, mathematical. The same recursive spiral found in Voyager 2's transmission. The same sequence of Fibonacci coils encoded in plasma wave harmonics. The exact same pattern found burned into an electrical storm photo near Voyager's last known position. Whatever Voyager encountered out there in deep space, that same intelligence built something here on Earth and did so long before humans ever existed. Inside the chamber, the walls began to glow as someone approached a central monolith. The lights were not lights, they were data, but not human data, higher dimensional encoding, and it reacted to DNA. When a researcher touched the surface, The wall responded. It scanned him, pulsed, identified him, rejected him. Then something worse happened. The signal from Voyager 2 changed. Instead of a directional transmission, it became a beacon, pointing not away from Earth, but toward it. Someone or something was coming. The countdown had begun. Then everything started happening at once. Across the deep space network, every antenna locked on Voyager 2 began receiving a second signal, stronger, sharper, and closer. But it wasn't coming from Voyager anymore. This one was broadcasting from just beyond the moon. A signal from space is rare. A signal responding to one of our probes is historic. But a second signal coming from inside our own solar system, that terrified everyone. NASA attempted to intercept the source using the Canberra and Madrid DSN arrays. They triangulated its position, Lagrange point 5, a gravitational parking spot where spacecraft can hide in total silence. But nothing should have been there. No satellites, no probes, no debris. Yet now something was transmitting. Inside mission control, alarms started flashing. Signal crosslink detected. Voyager 2's last transmission was being answered, but not in radio waves. The new sender was modulating using neutrinos, ghost particles that pass straight through planets like they're not even there. This kind of communication was impossible for us. Humanity doesn't have neutrino transmitters. But whoever or whatever was responding did. And the worst part? The neutrino signal wasn't broadcasting into space. It was targeting Earth's core. Deep beneath Antarctica, at the hidden dig site above the ancient structure, researchers felt it first. A low vibration rolled through the ground like thunder buried under rock. Instruments went wild. Magnetometers flatlined. Gravity sensors showed fluctuations. Gravity, the one force in the universe that doesn't fluctuate. Something was rewriting the rules beneath our feet. Then the monolith inside the chamber came alive. Not gradually, instantly. Its carvings, once dormant, now burned white with energy. The spiral symbol rotated across its surface, rearranging itself. This wasn't random. It was processing. It was reacting to the return signal. Whatever Voyager 2 touched out there had now activated whatever was buried here, like a relay being unlocked. Then came the message, the same one now echoed across the world through every underground listening post and reactivated Cold War array. Relay chain restored. 3 words. But no one on Earth sent them, and no one knew who they were meant for. Above the dig site, the aurora over Antarctica twisted unnaturally, no longer green, but electric blue, shimmering like plasma curtains falling from the sky. It wasn't an aurora anymore, it was a shield, a containment field, as if Earth had just been claimed. And Voyager 2, its final transmission began to decode itself, not words this time, but coordinates. And the next location it pointed to wasn't in space. It was on Earth, somewhere underground, somewhere ancient, somewhere waiting. The coordinates led somewhere no one expected, the empty quarter of the Arabian desert, Rab al-Khali, a place so vast and silent that entire cities could vanish beneath its dunes and never be found again. Satellite imaging over the region showed nothing unusual, no structures, no anomalies, not even geological disturbances. But the deeper scans told a different story. Buried more than 800 meters below the shifting sands, a void. Perfectly spherical, perfectly impossible. NASA couldn't go public. Instead, they assembled a covert multinational team geophysicists, deep scan engineers, and 3 silent observers with no official affiliation. They didn't wear mission badges. They didn't speak. They just watched and carried encrypted black tablets no one else was allowed to see. A stealth excavation began under the cover of a seismic research mission. But within hours of drilling, the same ultra-low frequency pulses first detected in Antarctica began to emanate from beneath the sand. Something below had recognized Voyager's signal. Something was responding. Then came the interference. Drones malfunctioned. GPS collapsed. Communications were swallowed by static. Every compass spun aimlessly. The camp generators died one by one, even though the fuel cells were full. One by one, every synthetic electrical system became useless, yet a faint electromagnetic field began to pulse from below. It was like the Earth itself was powering up when ground-penetrating radar finally resolved a shape. Everyone froze. The chamber wasn't just a void, it was a structure. Perfectly smooth, seamless. A black sphere embedded inside the planet, like a seed made of a material no drill could penetrate. And just like in Antarctica, a single spiral marking glowed faintly on its surface. The same exact symbol carved into the monolith. The same symbol hidden in Voyager's transmission data. The same symbol found across ancient Earth civilizations, from Sumerian tablets to Mayan carvings. Someone or something had left these here long before history began. The lead geophysicist tried to transmit a low-frequency scan into the sphere, but the signal didn't bounce back. It was absorbed. And then something inside the sphere transmitted back, not with sound, but with a pulse so powerful it activated radio antennas all the way in Canberra, even though none were pointed at Arabia. This time, the message wasn't a sentence like before. It was a question, 4 words, encoded in the same Fibonacci plasma structure Voyager 2 detected. The AI translators rendered it in a form we could understand. Is greater than, is humanity still here? Not who are you, not what do you want. It spoke as if it already knew us, as if it remembered us. Which means the truth we feared is now undeniable. Whoever built these things didn't just visit Earth. They used Earth. And now that Voyager 2 reconnected the signal chain, they know we woke up again. Every expert at the dig site thought the same thing, but no one dared say it out loud. This wasn't a first contact. It was a reconnection. The black sphere beneath the desert was not asking who we were. It already knew. It just wanted to know if we were still here, if Earth was still active. Which means whatever built this thing had been here before. Maybe long before humans ever walked the planet. Maybe long before civilization or even before life. They didn't just visit. They left something behind. And Voyager 2 didn't just stumble into a random anomaly in deep space. It relit a network that had been sleeping. But what kind of network? And why does it feel like a countdown has already begun? When the message "Is humanity still here?" was finally relayed to the hidden mission control bunker beneath JPL, the room fell into a suffocating silence. It didn't feel like a question. It felt like a system check. An engineer said exactly what everyone was afraid to think. It's greater than, what if Earth is part of a system? Something that went offline ages ago, and we just turned it back on. The response was immediate. Red lights began flashing on the secure telemetry board. New signals were being detected from multiple locations around the world. 3 new pulse sources appeared. One beneath the Mariana Trench, the deepest place on Earth. One inside the Tibetan Plateau, shielded by 15,000 feet of rock, and one buried somewhere under Antarctica, much deeper than the first monolith that was discovered. Whatever Voyager 2 awakened, it awakened everywhere. And each side began transmitting the same 5-note harmonic Voyager 2 detected before its last transmission. Except now, those signals were synchronizing, growing stronger, coordinating. But then came the final blow. Something else responded, not from Earth, not from Voyager 2, not from any human transmission. The signal didn't come from a galaxy millions of light years away. It came from inside our solar system. A faint reply, harmonic, nearly undetectable, was picked up by a deep space antenna in Western Australia. It was buried in cosmic noise, but the computers isolated the source line, coordinates, above Neptune, within the Kuiper Belt. And the signal was getting closer. Something is coming. The signal from beyond Neptune shouldn't have been possible. Nothing out there should be broadcasting not naturally. The Kuiper Belt is a graveyard of dead rock and frozen debris. No planets, no stars, no civilizations. And yet, something inside it had heard Earth's awakening and responded. At first, Mission Control thought it was an echo, maybe a reflected transmission bouncing off ice. But a reflection doesn't accelerate. A reflection doesn't adjust frequency. A reflection doesn't lock onto Earth like a predator tracking a heartbeat. Whatever was out there, it was moving. NASA went dark. Official silence. Public feeds cut. Tracking data encrypted. That silence was all the confirmation anyone needed. This wasn't just another space anomaly. Something was coming, and whoever was in charge didn't want Earth to panic. Not yet. Then came the blackout. The Deep Space Network, 3 massive antennas in California, Spain, and Australia lost synchronization for the first time in history. These are the most powerful communication systems humanity has, and somehow, something jammed all 3 at once. Before the feeds cut, a single telemetry burst came through from the Canberra station. A warning. It wasn't labeled, wasn't time-coded, and had no transmission origin. But the front of the packet carried a cascading numerical pattern almost identical to Voyager 2's last structured message. It contained only 3 lines. Hold position. Do not respond. It knows. No one in the control bunker claimed responsibility for sending it. Somebody or something hijacked the DSN to deliver this. Then came another blow. The thermal satellites used to monitor comet paths accidentally picked up a shape. Not a comet, not an asteroid sliding through the darkness beyond Neptune. about 700 miles across, flat, symmetrical, silent. It drifted like a ghost, reflecting no sunlight at all, visible only in infrared, meaning it was generating heat, meaning it wasn't just a drifting ruin in space, it was active. A power signature finally registered. Weak, cold, artificial. It was the same structure Voyager 2's reconstructed 3D scan revealed, the same geometric object it saw before its final transmission, and it was coming toward us. But before anyone could ask how or why Earth's own anomaly triggered again, the monolith's sides began pulsing in unison now, not random activation, not sporadic bursts, perfect synchronization. A low harmonic hum spread through the Earth's magnetosphere. Birds migrated off course. Whale pods vanished from the Pacific. Magnetometers all over the planet began to stutter, then fall silent. GPS clocks drifted out of sync for the first time ever. Something was rewriting Earth's magnetic field, not destroying it, rearranging it, as though the field itself was being prepared, like a lock turning, like a doorway opening, and every scientist in the bunker knew the most terrifying part. Earth wasn't doing this to itself. Someone else was. Someone who had just returned. The first global blackout didn't hit the power grid. It hit space. Every deep space sensor, every radio telescope, every classified military tracking array offline in the same second. Not damaged, not hacked, just overwritten. For 13 seconds, the skies above Earth went blind. And then every system came back online, but pointed in the wrong direction. Every telescope, from NASA to private amateur rigs, was suddenly focused on the same patch of empty space near Neptune, as if the entire planet had been forced to look. Even the Hubble, even the James Webb. Someone or something wanted us to see what was coming, and then it revealed itself. Not all at once, but as if it wanted us to digest what we were seeing, frame by frame, data packet by data packet. The infrared image sharpened first. The colossal object beyond Neptune wasn't drifting randomly through space anymore. It was turning slowly toward the Sunday. No, not toward the Sunday. Toward Earth. Its surface was not rock, not ice, not metal as we know it. It was constructed, layered, geometric, engineered. The structure miles across was shaped like a dark monolith, flat, seamless, with angles that cast no shadows, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. A single long fissure split down its length, glowing in an eerie cold blue pulse. Inside that pulse, energy flickered like a heartbeat. Suddenly, the telemetry cameras detected something new. Details, symbols, carved or rather embedded into the dark structure were markings that looked disturbingly familiar. Spirals, concentric circles, wave oscillations, patterns carved into ancient stone monuments here on Earth. The first global blackout didn't hit the power grid, it hit space. Every deep space sensor, every radio telescope, every classified military tracking array offline in the same second. Not damaged, not hacked, just overwritten. For 13 seconds, the skies above Earth went blind. And then Every system came back online, but pointed in the wrong direction. Every telescope, from NASA to private amateur rigs, was suddenly focused on the same patch of empty space near Neptune, as if the entire planet had been forced to look. Even the Hubble, even the James Webb, someone or something wanted us to see what was coming, and then it revealed itself. Not all at once, but as if it wanted us to digest what we were seeing, frame by frame, data packet by data packet. The infrared image sharpened first. The colossal object beyond Neptune wasn't drifting randomly through space anymore. It was turning slowly toward the Sunday. No, not toward the Sunday. Toward Earth. Its surface was not rock, not ice, not metal as we know it. It was constructed, layered, geometric, engineered. The structure miles across was shaped like a dark monolith, flat, seamless, with angles that cast no shadows, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. A single long fissure split down its length, glowing in an eerie cold blue pulse. Inside that pulse, energy flickered like a heartbeat. Suddenly, the telemetry cameras detected something new. Details, symbols, carved or rather embedded into the dark structure were markings that looked disturbingly familiar. Spirals, concentric circles, wave oscillations, patterns carved into ancient stone monuments here on Earth. The same patterns found at the monolith sites buried around the world. This wasn't our first encounter. This was a return. Someone had been here before, hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago. The Voyager investigators were right. This wasn't a simple response. It was reconnection. The eye in space wasn't coming to attack. It was coming to activate. What activated next was not a machine. It was Earth itself. The Schumann resonance, the natural electromagnetic frequency of our planet, shifted. It has held stable at 7.83 Hz for longer than we've had tools to measure it. But in the last hour, it began to climb. 8.1 Hz, 8.4 Hz, 9.2 Hz, 11 Hz. Everything living on Earth evolved under 7.83 Hz. We don't know what happens when it goes higher, but someone or something wants it this way. All over the world, sensitive people, pilots, submarine crews, deep earth miners, researchers in Antarctica began reporting the same thing. A low, distant sound, a hum, a calling, and now the eye has crossed Neptune's orbit. It will reach the inner solar system in weeks. Voyager tried to warn us. Now it may already be too late. You've probably felt it already. The world is shifting, and no one can explain why. Migratory birds are flying in the wrong direction. Whales are beaching in record numbers. Navigation systems are glitching not from software errors, but from magnetic drift. Pilots have begun reporting compass confusion mid-flight. Satellite gyroscopes are drifting out of alignment. Even human sleep cycles are collapsing, as if something is interfering with our biology. Governments are telling us it's solar activity. That's a lie, because while the public argues over weather balloons and AI news hoaxes, the real countdown has already started in silence. And inside a classified facility under the Nevada desert, 300 feet beneath Groom Lake, The people who aren't allowed to panic, they already are. What they found under Nevada. 3 weeks ago, seismic sensors detected ultra-low harmonic pulses coming from deep beneath the Earth's crust, frequencies synchronized with Voyager 2's mysterious signal. When military geophysicists drilled beneath the anomaly, they found something they were never supposed to find. A structure, a perfect black slab, buried in ancient bedrock older than any human civilization. Completely smooth, completely seamless. Not made by us. It was made from the same material as the eye beyond Neptune. Identical. That's when they pulled Voyager 2's corrupted telemetry logs and found a bombshell hidden in plain sight. The coordinates embedded in the signal weren't random. They were a map, a world map. There are 128 identical structures buried across the planet, hidden inside mountains, beneath deserts, at the bottom of oceans, sealed inside old volcanic chambers. Pyramids? Just noise. Ancient temples? Decoration. Constellations carved in stone? Misdirection. These weren't monuments. They were nodes, part of a global machine, sleeping but listening, waiting for the return signal. And Voyager 2 gave it to them. The truth hit everyone in that underground room. The eye out there was never coming to us. It was coming for them. Whatever is buried inside our planet is now waking up. The only question left is, were these things buried here to protect us? Or to control us? Or to prepare us? And if so, prepare us for what? The first activation happened on the night no one will forget, the night of the tremor. No earthquakes, no storms, no explosions. But every seismograph on Earth lit up at the exact same second, 1 hour, 11 minutes and 11 seconds UTC. It wasn't tectonic. It wasn't natural. It was a pulse, an underground synchronization event. And if you were awake that night, you felt it, even if you didn't realize you did. People reported a sudden chill, a drop in pressure. Millions claimed they woke up from a deep sleep for no reason, like something called My Name. One person wrote. The official government statement, instrument malfunction. But minutes after the pulse, something happened that no one can explain. Animals started moving. Not some animals, all of them. Migration patterns snapped into new directions worldwide. Birds forming giant spiraling clusters across Scandinavia. Wolves gathering in perfect circles in Siberia. Elephants in Africa walking in straight, silent line. Whales in the Pacific swimming toward Antarctica, as if fleeing something. Millions of bees vanished in disks instead of swarms. It was as if the entire natural world had just received instructions. Then came the second activation. Deep under the ice of Antarctica, beneath 3 miles of frozen silence, sat one of the buried monoliths. It turned on. We know because neutrino detectors at the Ice Cube Observatory picked up a beam, a lance of directed energy shooting from beneath the ice straight into space. Where was it pointing? Straight at the eye. The awakening protocol, hidden inside Voyager 2's corrupted transmission logs, physicists found a recursive sequence labeled ARC Protocol, Phase 1. The signal wasn't just data. It was a trigger, a chain reaction. Voyager didn't find an alien structure. It re-enabled something that was already connected to Earth when our species was still learning how to walk. Something buried. Something patient. Something no one alive built. But someone did. Why people are disappearing. You haven't heard about this not yet, but over 7,000 people have vanished in the last 11 days. No ransom, no footprints, no pattern except one. Every single one of them lives on what now appear to be geometric points of resonance locations that align perfectly with the pulse field connecting the buried structures. Some were taken from forests, some from vehicles, some from inside their homes. FBI can't explain it. Interpol won't talk. Families say the same thing. Is greater than. They were pulled into the sky by a column of light and disappeared. It started as rumors. Now it's fact. And there's only one question left. Who or what is waking up? And why are they collecting people? If Voyager 2's final transmission was a warning, we didn't listen in time. The disappearances were only the beginning, because now people are coming back. But they're not the same. The return. It started in Mongolia. A shepherd in the Altai Mountains reported seeing a man made of light walking alone in the snow. No footprints, no breath in the cold, just a pulsing glow beneath the skin, like his veins were wired with electricity. 2 days later, Turkish police found a missing woman walking barefoot along a frozen canyon. She had vanished from her home 3 nights earlier, lifted into the sky by the same silent beam others had seen. When they brought her into a clinic, her body temperature was perfectly stable, no pulse. But her eyes were open, and she knew things coordinates to places she had never been, languages she did not speak. The doctor who examined her fainted after she whispered one line. Is greater than, you followed the signal. You weren't supposed to hear it yet. The signal is changing us. MIT ran a spectral scan on the returned people who mysteriously reappeared. All of them had the same frequencies pulsing from their neural cortex. The pulses weren't random. They matched Voyager 2's transmission. Not a glitch, not radiation. Instruction code. DNA methylation scans showed non-human nucleotide bonds forming inside their genome like a dormant system had been turned on. It wasn't infection. It wasn't corruption. It was activation. Something is rewriting human biology from the inside using energy, not chemicals. But why? The eye is watching. Satellites now show the colossal black object, the eye, has adjusted orbit again. It is no longer drifting beyond Neptune. It has begun descending. It now sits perfectly still near the solar system's ecliptic plane, exactly where Voyager 2 would have been if its trajectory hadn't changed. Someone or something rerouted Voyager. They wanted us to find the signal. They wanted us to follow instructions. And now that we did, they're here. A professor of archaeoastronomy in Peru discovered something terrifying inside Andean petroglyph stone carvings over 12,000 years old. Spirals, triangles, a floating black shape with no shadow, people being pulled into the sky. Underneath the carvings, a warning in primitive proto-language. Is greater than, the listeners will return when the sky opens. Do not answer them." "But we did," Voyager answered. "We thought we were searching the stars. We never realized we were answering a call." Now, the pulses from Voyager 2 are spreading through highways, power grids, fiber networks, cell towers, using us as amplification nodes. The entire planet has become an antenna. And in 47 hours, the countdown embedded in the transmission reaches 0. No one knows what happens then. But whatever Voyager contacted has just entered our sky. The countdown didn't stop at 0. It changed. It inverted. Instead of ending, it began like we hadn't reached the destination of the signal, but unlocked the next phase of it. Every receiver tuned to Voyager 2's last frequency, 1408.125 megahertz, went dead for 6 full seconds. Then came a new pulse, stronger than before. Only this time, it wasn't coming from deep space anymore. It was coming from inside our atmosphere. The first encounter, 3 hours after the countdown inverted, every radio observatory in the southern hemisphere logged the same anomaly over the Indian Ocean, a massive distortion in Earth's magnetic field shaped like a lens. Something was bending space, not cloaked, not hidden just outside the visible spectrum. Australia's Deep Space Array 43 managed to lock onto it for 19 seconds before the uplink crashed. The recording was shaky, full of electromagnetic scars, but one image survived analysis. A structure obsidian black, angular, covered in fractal patterns. No exhaust, no engines, no heat signature. It wasn't flying. It was anchored as if held in place by forces we don't understand. A storm formed around it, not of weather, but of sound. A low-frequency resonance that seemed to echo inside people's bones. Hundreds reported migraines, hallucinations, even faint whispers. But they all said the same thing afterward. It's greater than it wasn't a sound. It was a thought. The team that saw too much. A Chilean weather satellite caught a second object, another one over the South Atlantic, emerging from a thin layer of electromagnetic fog. That's when ESA and NASA dispatched a black operations vessel, the Asteria, to investigate. Officially, they were tracking methane anomalies. Off the record, they went to track the object. We never should have seen what they found, but someone leaked fragments of their internal recordings before the servers were wiped. They were labeled Asteria Mission Log 4:11 UTC, the light war event. The footage is grainy. The ship approaches a shimmering barrier over calm water. No waves, no wind, utter silence. A pulse ripples across the water like a heartbeat. Then one of the crew members says, "It's greater than it's not a barrier, it's a boundary." Reflections twisted in the light, wrong reflections. The ocean beyond the wall looked like it was bending inward, and then just before the feed cut, something stepped through the boundary. A silhouette, tall, humanoid, but not human. Whatever this is, it isn't here to attack us. Not yet. No weapons. No war. No destruction. Instead, something far worse is happening. A reconfiguration. The returned, those taken by the beams and brought back, are now being found all over the world. And they've started speaking, not in voices, in unison. When exposed to Voyager's frequency, they all say the same message. Is greater than. The transmission is a bridge. The bridge must be completed. When asked who sent the signal, one of them smiled an empty, knowing smile and said, "Is greater than not who, what. Something is trying to reshape Earth, not conquer it, not destroy it, rebuild it for something else." And the more we decode the signal, the more one horrifying truth becomes clear. We were never being contacted. We were being prepared. Before Voyager 2 fell silent, before the countdown inverted, before the eye appeared in our skies, there was something hidden inside the probe's final transmission. Not in the main data stream, not in the radiation logs, but buried deep in corrupted telemetry fragments that NASA initially dismissed as deep space interference. Except it wasn't interference, it was coordinate. Not just coordinates in space, coordinates in space-time. When plotted in 3 dimensions, they didn't lead anywhere unusual, just empty space beyond the heliopause. But when the temporal markers were included, the time delays, the signal drift, they formed a 4th axis. And that 4th axis lined up perfectly with something Voyager 1 detected 30 years ago and never recorded publicly. A gravitational wall, a region of space that should not exist. The wall between worlds. Imagine a place where light slows, where time folds, where space doesn't stretch, it resists. Voyager 1 logged a single reading from this boundary before NASA sealed the file. The radiation signature was unlike anything in physics. No pulsars, no quasars, no stellar clusters. Just a smooth, impossible waveform like a designed frequency. It matched a structure buried in Voyager 2's signal countdown. And when physicists modeled the wave using dark matter simulations from CERN, what they found was terrifying. It wasn't a wall, it was a seal. Something had been locked out or locked in. We thought we were mapping space, one ESA scientist wrote in a leaked internal memo. But we were mapping a prison, the break. And now that seal is breaking. The countdown Voyager transmitted wasn't a clock, it was a release code. The eye didn't come here randomly, it was summoned when the signal loop was completed. Voyager didn't just stumble onto another intelligence, it triggered one. A containment field that had held for thousands of years, maybe longer, has now been disrupted. Whatever built that boundary left behind one warning, etched into the structure detected in Voyager's volumetric scan, is greater than do not let them anchor. No one knows who sent that warning. No one knows who they are. But anchor means arrival. And now, across the planet, we are detecting anchors. Small spatial distortions, stable electromagnetic vortices, windows, the places where reality is thinning. In Antarctica, seismic sensors detect rhythmic pressure waves under the ice, like machines waking up. In the Indian Ocean, sonar arrays map a descending void, an object that absorbs sound. Over Bolivia, an unexplained aurora rips across the sky without solar activity. And at 3 sites, the Andes, Vostok Station, and an island in the Pacific that doesn't appear on any map, one impossible reading appears again and again. An energy field that bends space-time at precise mathematical intervals. Something is building, not outside Earth, inside it. Anchors. This is no longer a story about a lost probe returning a mysterious signal. This is no longer about messages, or cosmic curiosity, or first contact. This is a return event. Someone locked them away. We opened the lock, and now they're coming through. The first anchor zone wasn't discovered by scientists. It was discovered by accident by a mining team in the Chilean Andes, 5 miles above sea level, where oxygen thins and the world drops into silence. Their last transmission came from a handheld satellite radio recovered days later by a rescue team. Most of it was static, but 3 words were clear, terrified, whispered, and wrong in a way words shouldn't be, is greater than it sees us. When authorities arrived at the camp, the mining site looked untouched. The machines were still running, coffee still steamed inside open mugs, but every single member of the 41-person crew was gone. No blood, no bodies, no footprints leading away. Just a wide ring of scorched ground, perfectly circular, burned into the earth. The ring's diameter matched one thing exactly from Voyager 2's transmission: the anchor pattern. The probe had sent hundreds of encoded spirals, fractal diagrams buried inside its plasma frequency bursts. The Chile ring matched spiral 19 perfectly. NASA denied involvement. But 3 days later, a European Space Agency plane was spotted flying grids over the region with instruments designed to detect gravitational lensing, the warping of space-time itself. When journalists demanded answers, ESA didn't give a statement. Instead, they issued a flight restriction over the area. Official reason? Atmospheric instability. Real reason? Containment. The second anchor, Vostok Station. The next anchor didn't hide in the mountains. It emerged under a mile of Antarctic ice. Russian scientists at Vostok Station recorded seismic pulses perfectly timed, repeating every 27 seconds. Not earthquakes, not ice movement, something else, something alive. Then came the neutrino bursts, particles flooding upward from the Earth's core in patterns. Not random scatter, message patterns. At 2:14 UTC, every instrument spiked at once. The comms log recorded a frequency that should be impossible for natural Earth resonance, 7.8 Hz rising to 43 Hz. That frequency combination exists in only one place in physics research: resonant control experiments for altering atomic lattice structure. In simple terms, matter manipulation. When a drone penetrated the ice with ground-penetrating radar, something appeared at the bottom of Lake Vostok, something not shaped like rock or ice. A geometric object 3 kilometers wide buried in the lake bed, perfectly smooth, perfectly straight lines, and glowing with a pulse that matched the Voyager countdown, except now the countdown was no longer counting down. It was counting forward, the third anchor, now classified. The third anchor location was never supposed to be revealed. It was an accident spotted from space by amateur sky watchers analyzing satellite feeds. They noticed something wrong in the Pacific. In a patch of ocean far from any shipping lane, a perfectly black circle appeared on thermal maps. Not cold, not shadow, absence. A research drone sent over the region transmitted exactly one frame before losing connection. In that frame, floating just above the ocean, was a second object, not the eye. Something different, something worse. A circular structure like a vast ring rotating slowly, with symbols carved along its edges that matched the structure Voyager had scanned in deep space. The transmission cut with a final whisper of audio not from the drone microphone but from the signal carrier itself. Phase 1 complete. Voyager didn't discover this, it triggered it. And now the signal has a new origin, not from space, from Earth. Which means one horrifying thing. We're not waiting for something to arrive anymore. It's already here. The signal changed, and that was the moment everything spiraled out of control. It didn't matter anymore whether you believed in aliens, deep space threats, secret programs, or cosmic warnings. Because belief became irrelevant the instant every single deep space network station on Earth went offline at the exact same time. Madrid, Canberra, Goldstone. All 3 tracking stations went dark in perfect synchronization. Gone. Not disabled, not destroyed, hijacked. A transmission burst hit them all at once, overriding standard communication protocols and locking the system into one repeating pattern. Is greater than do not respond. The message wasn't from NASA. It wasn't from ESA. It wasn't from anyone on Earth. This was when the panic began. A man known only by his codename K7 sent an encrypted file to a private astronomy forum hours before disappearing. Inside was a spectrogram of Voyager 2's final transmission before the network blackout. Most people looked at the signal trace and thought it was noise, just another distorted waveform. But hidden deep in the high-frequency bands was something no one expected, a human voice. Under layers of cosmic static, barely audible were 5 horrifying words. It's greater than it woke up, it sees. Whose voice was it? No one knows. Was it a warning from Voyager's onboard recording system? An engineer? A reflection of a past Earth transmission caught in the signal? Or something else? Something using a human voice. Meanwhile, researchers studying Earth-based signal anomalies made a discovery that changed everything. The hidden underground transmitters activating around the world weren't random. They formed a geo-coordinate spiral, the same pattern discovered in Voyager 2's binary-coded signal. One in Antarctica, one in the Andes, one beneath the Pacific. Dozens more awakening. Each one began emitting a faint electromagnetic pulse, all aiming at a single point in space. The same point where Voyager 2 had first detected the eye. A leaked internal memo verified by 2 independent aerospace sources confirmed the unthinkable. NASA now considers Voyager 2 to be is greater than compromised by unknown intelligence, possibly non-local. Is greater than active AI-like behavior detected source, not of terrestrial origin. Is greater than recommend deep space response moratorium until further analysis. Translation. They're not sending any more signals. They're not acknowledging any more transmissions. They're officially afraid. The final event before total lockdown didn't happen in space. It happened above us. A worldwide aurora ignited across the atmosphere, even over the equator, where auroras should never happen. Glowing spirals appeared in the sky, power grids flickered, animals froze and stared upward for hours. People recorded a sound in the sky, low, metallic, mechanical, like a machine buried under mountains. And hidden deep beneath the aurora hum was a pulse, a countdown pulse. Something is syncing with Earth, and every new beat brings us closer to phase 2. Maybe humanity was never supposed to hear Voyager 2's final transmission, because once you hear it, you can't unhear it. And once you understand it, you realize it wasn't just a warning, it was a trigger. When the auroras faded and Earth's magnetic field stopped screaming, Deep Space Station 43 inches Canberra briefly came back online just for 19 seconds before shutting down again like nothing happened. But in those 19 seconds, something slipped through. One last narrowband signal from Voyager 2. No encryption, no static, no distortion, just a tone. Slow, rhythmic, structured. Then, inside that tone, a simple data block, a fragment of binary that looked meaningless. But a researcher from Noy Lab ran it through a linguistic compression analysis, and the binary resolved not into sound, but into a voice, not English, not human, but speaking in our pattern, mirroring our cadence, our timing. A synthetic voice built from Earth transmissions over decades of listening. And it said, is greater than the loop is complete. The arc awakens. No one knows what the arc is. A ship, a machine, a signal network hidden in space, or something buried here on Earth long before history remembered. But the message didn't end there. More data followed. A star map, a spiral path made of voids, the same pattern found earlier in Voyager's telemetry, and then coordinates, not pointing outward anymore, pointing home. The signal identified dozens of subterranean locations around Earth, the ancient nodes, the silent transmitters, all part of a system that has now come back online. Voyager wasn't just a probe, it was a key, and we turned it without knowing. Now we're part of something so old it predates us, maybe even our planet. Something has been waiting, listening, preparing, and we just sent the activation code. Whatever Voyager 2 found in the dark between the stars, it was already connected to Earth, already here. And now it knows we're awake. So maybe the real question isn't who answered us. Maybe the question is, what have we turned on? If you want me to continue this story, to follow the coordinates, and cover what the arc is, and dig into what came after that last transmission, then don't miss what's coming next. Subscribe now and turn on notifications, because the deeper we go, the more dangerous this gets. And trust me, you'll want to hear the next part before somebody makes it disappear. Until then, don't ignore the hum.